Good day, ma'am and classmates. Our report is about man and society. Miss Vanessa, my partner, will discuss the introductory part and I will discuss the role of man in society, the different factors of social change, and the different views of man. So, with man and society, last meeting with our activity, we pondered on how our family and our community defined us. And we thought and reflected about our place in this world, how other people see us. Because we, the human person, exist to relate with others. The person is by nature a social being because we have the tendency to go out ourselves to form bonds and relationships with others. Throughout our life, we experiences a variety of relationships that help us shape as a person. As we grow into adulthood, our relationships and responsibilities also change. This is because we play more significant roles in the communities that we live in. As we live our lives and expand our experiences, our freedom gives us opportunity to pursue various activities to achieve our goals and attain well-being or happiness. We encounter other people who are acting in similar ways. However, the pursuit of our goals is made easier by the fact that we do not need to do our activities alone. Of course, we have other people that we can live our life and pursue our happiness with other people and by other people by our side. In social change, this refers to the modifications which take place in the life patterns of people. Social change is a concept many of us take for granted or don't really even understand. No society has ever remained the same. As the saying goes, no man is an island. Social change refers to any significant alteration over time in behavior, patterns, and cultural values and norms. By significant alteration, sociologists mean changes yielding profound social consequences. Change is the law of nature. What is today shall be different from what it would be tomorrow. So, what we are doing today is different from what we are going to do tomorrow. This is because the social structure is subject to incessant change. We have also here the different characteristics of social change. First is the change is social. Social change means a change in the system of social relationship. Social relationship is understood in terms of social process, social interactions, and social organizations. So, in any variation of social process, social interactions, and social organizations, social change takes place. In another instance, it is found that society is like an organization which never dies. New civilization and societies come up by replacing old societies and thereby retaining some of its elements in its change. Thus, social change is different from individual change. Its cause and consequences are always social, which make it social. Another is change is universal. Social change is universal because it is present in all societies and at all times. No society remains completely static. A changeless society is an unreality. The society may be primitive or modern, rural or urban, simple or complex, agrarian or industrial. It is constantly undergoing change. The rate or the degree of change may vary from society to society from time to time, but every society keeps on changing. Change is continuous. Social change is a continuous process but not an intermittent process because the changes are neither stopped nor the societies are kept in museum to save them from change. It is an ongoing process without any break. In the process of change, every society grows and decays, where it finds renewal and accommodates itself to various changing conditions. The sources, direction, rate, and forms of change may vary time to time, but it is always continuous. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. It is the human nature that desires change, and also it is his tendency to bring change and to oppose or accept change. So it depends on us if we are going to accept change. Human wants are unlimited, which always keep on changing. To satisfy these wants, social change has become a necessity not only to him but also to the society. Change is temporal. Change in anything or any object or in a situation takes place through time. Time is the most important factor and social change denotes time sequence. According to MacLever, it is a becoming, not a being, a process and not a product. Innovation of things, modification, and renovations of existing behavior takes time. So a social change is temporary or permanent on the basis of time. Sometimes, some social changes may bring about immediate results, while some others may take years to produce results. Similarly, some social changes spread rapidly and also disappear rapidly. Movements, style, fashion, and culture are the example of this type. But in the biological process of aging, short time does not cause change. Another characteristic of social change is the degree or rate of change is not uniform. Though social change is an ever-present phenomenon, its degree or rate or what we call the speed is not uniform. It varies from society to society and even in the same society from time to time. Sometimes the degree of change is high and sometimes low depending upon the nature of society. For example, in the rural areas, the rate of change is slower because the rate of change is not governed by any universal law, whereas it is quick in the urban societies. Next is social change may be planned or unplanned. Social change takes place sometimes with planning and sometimes without planning. Social change which occurs in the natural course is called the unplanned change. The unplanned changes are spontaneous, accidental, or the product of sudden decision. However, planned change is consciously and deliberately made. There is every possibility to have control on the speed and direction of change. Usually, the change resulting from natural calamities like flood and volcanic eruption and etc. are the instances of unplanned changes. Here, in this unplanned change, there is no control on the degree and direction of social change. It is the inborn tendency of human beings that they desire change. In planned change, for example, the Ambition natin 2040 of the government is a best example of planned change. Social change creates chain reaction. Social change produces not a single reaction but chain reactions as all the parts of the society are interrelated and interdependent. For example, the economic independence of women has brought changes not only in their status but also a series of changes in home, family, relationship, and marriages, and etc. In social change, prediction is uncertain. We can see some elements for prediction in social change, but the prediction we make is uncertain. It is because of three reasons. First, there is no inherent law of social change. The forces of social change may not remain on the scene for all times to come. The process of social change does not remain uniform. Apart from the above characteristics, features, it may be said that social change can be qualitative or quantitative. It is a value-free term as it does imply any sense of good or bad, desirable or undesirable. It is a concept distinct from evolution, process, and development, which are regarded as key concepts in the literature of social change. So we also have different factors of social change. So we have demographic, technological, cultural, biological, and the socio-economic. Social change takes place in all societies and in all periods of time. But here, question arises, why does social change takes place? So with this question, it is necessary to take up each factor by itself and to find out the way in which it affects the social change. The first is the demographic factor. Demography plays an important role in the process of social change. The term demography has been derived from two Greek words, the demos and the graphs, meaning the people and to draw or write respectively. Demography is the scientific study of human population, primarily with respect to their size, structure, and their development. Qualitatively speaking, it refers to physical potentialities, mental abilities, and etc. that are determined by genetic order, though the hereditary quality of successive generation plays some role in cultural determination. It cannot be ascribed the place of a deterministic cause of social change. In the study of social change, demographic factors have been viewed from two different angles, the qualitative and the quantitative. So for the quantitative view of demography, takes into account the size, composition, and density of human population that are determined by natural reproduction, migration, and social mobility. But the demographic factor in its quantitative aspect has been playing the most decisive role in causing the social change. So here, there are three important factors that determine the rise, fall, or density of population. First is the high fertility, second, the low mortality, and third is the migration. So when there is high birth rate and the death rate is low, we find growth in population. Let us know few points regarding the causes of high birth rate, and they are given in the following table. So from this, it is found that population increases due to migration. Migration refers to the process of movement of population from one place to another for considerable period of time. It plays a significant role in population growth in the history for the past 100 years. There are negative effects of demographic factors. First, the growth of population has been decreased the standard of living of people in the society. The growth of population has given birth to a variety of problems like poverty, unemployment, child labor, crime, and juvenile delinquency. Increase in population leads to an increase of social differentiation and division of labor. It brings destructive social confliction and disorganization in migrants' line. In the societies where the female population exceeds the male population, polygamy may flourish, and on the other hand, if the number of males exceeds the females, polyandry is like to prevail. Next, we have the biological factors. Biological factor plays an important role in the causation of social change. An ordinarily biological factor refers to those which are concerned with the genetic constitution of the human beings. Besides the process of natural selection, social selection also affects the rate and speed of social change. The process of natural selection works through twin alternatives like the adaptation and annihilation. A biological factor includes both non-human beings such as animals. Human beings use animals, birds, plants, and herbs according to the direction of his own culture. At the same time, human beings protect themselves from different harmful elements. If there is increase or decrease of these animals, birds, plants, etc., it will bring a number of changes in the human society. Here, man is required to adapt to natural environment. But in social selection, the forces created within the human society and operating through human relationships creates situations that deeply affect the reproduction process and survival rates of population. A biological factor includes both non-human beings and human beings. So, as I said a while ago, human beings use animals, birds, plants, and herbs according to their own culture. At the same time, human beings protect themselves from being harmful elements. Because if there is increase of or decrease of these animals, birds, plants, etc., it will bring a number of changes in the human society. Rapid decline of useful animals, birds, and plants will also create a number of problems in human society and influences the social change. The rapid increase or decrease of population also brings a number of changes in society. Different biological processes like human procreation, fertility, and mortality also influence the rate of change in society. By size, density, migration, immigration, and etc., bring a number of changes in the society. Rapid population growth influences our environment that causes poverty, food shortage, and multiple health problems, and thereby brings changes in our society. The nature and quality of human beings in a society influences the rate of social change. Sociologists like Pareto discusses that the biological evolution of mankind brings social change. Elites in a society are determined by inherited biological instincts. Besides, composition of population also influences social change. Both age composition and sex composition are very closely related to social change. Number of population in the productive age group deeply influences the rate and speed of social change. Because if the number of child and unproductive or aging population increases, a country faces a number of economic problems. If the number of aging population decreases, the youth may be deprived of wisdom and experience which resulted in slow change. For cultural factors, in sociology, the word culture denotes acquired behavior which are shared by and transmitted among the members of the society. Man learns his behavior, and behavior which is learned is called the culture. Culture is the socially transmitted system of idealized ways in knowledge, practices, and belief, along with the artifacts that knowledge and practice produce and maintain as they change in time. This includes all that man has acquired in the mental and intellectual sphere of his individual and social life. The different features of culture may be summarized with culture is social but not individual. Culture is idealistic. Culture is communicative. Culture is an acquired quality. Culture meets the recurring demand of mankind. Culture has the characteristics of adaptation, and culture has the quality of becoming integrated. So culture plays a very significant role in social change. No culture even remains constant. It always keeps on changing. So it is treated as an important source or instrument of social change. So here are the determining role of culture in social change. First is culture gives speed and direction to social change. If the culture is too much conservative, then its rate of change becomes too slow, and vice versa. People whether accept change or not depends upon their attitudes and values which are the products of the culture. Culture influences the direction and character of technological change. Our belief in social institutions not only corresponds to the changes in technology but this determine the use to which the technological inventions will be put. It is the culture that decides the purpose to which a technical invention must be put. Third, culture shapes economy and is effective towards economic growth. Culture not only gives direction to technology, but it shapes the economy, which is too much effective towards economic growth. And the last one, it keeps the social relationship intact. It makes people think not of their own but also of the others. By regulating the behavior of the people and satisfying their primary drives pertaining to hunger, shelter, and sex, it has been able to maintain group life. So we have here the concept of cultural lag. Cultural lag means the flattering of one aspect of culture behind another. According to Ogburn, there are two aspects of culture. One is the material and another one is the non-material. Material culture, it includes those elements of things which are tangible, visible, and touchable like goods, tools, and machines, and it can also be furnitures and etc. But for non-material culture, it includes those elements which are neither tangible nor touchable. Rather, these are experienced by men like values, ideologies, customs, religion, and behavior pattern, and etc. So the changes are quick in material culture, so the speed of change is faster. But non-material culture responds very slow to such changes in material culture. So the material culture goes ahead, leaving behind the non-material culture. So we have here the causes of cultural lag. First, first cause is the difference in the degrees of changeability of various elements of culture. Next, it can be on the changes in law, and it can be man's psychological dogmatism. Next, let's go with technological factors. So in this study of sociology, technology has a wider connotation. It implies an appropriate organization and systematic application of scientific knowledge to meet the human requirements. Technology is a product of utilization. When the scientific knowledge is applied to the problems of life, it becomes technology. So technology is fast growing and modern age is what we call the age of technology. Technology changes society by changing our environments to which we in turn adapt. This change is usually in the material environment, and the adjustment that we make with these changes often modifies customs and social institution, initiates a corresponding social change. So there are two sources of technological change. We have the inventions and the discovery. Invention denotes creation of new ways of using existing knowledge or new ways of combining existing artifacts. A single invention in technology can produce a large-scale change in society. One important example of invention is the invention of automobile. The discovery means the new way of looking at the environment. Technological innovation originates also from another source, that is what we call the discovery. For example, is the discovery of the medicine of the COVID-19 vaccine. This is the result of discoveries in biology and partly the result of the invention. Next, we have the socio-economic factors. The economic factors constitute an important factor of social change. Marx said that the entire social structure of a country is determined by economic factors. Social and economic factors such as income, education, employment, community safety, and social supports can significantly affect how well we live in this society. So we have also the different views of man. So we have the three perspectives of human person. First, scientific view of man, the philosophical view of man, and lastly is the theological view of man. The scientific view of man. It is a most evident fact that we are physically or materially beings. With our five senses, we confirm by every second of our existence that we operate materially in this world, hemmed in by the limits of time and space. The scientific view of man considers the human condition in all its purely material phenomena. Aristotle pointed out that all learning begins in the senses, and there is nothing wrong with beginning with the scientific perspective. There is a madness in this age of progressive thought that would have us believe that, as a result of the rapid technological advancement, we will eventually be able to explain all reality by empirical means. The scientific view of man is in this scientist age, notions of God and creation are increasingly considered superstitious. Philosophy has been reduced to material terms and now even morality is becoming secularized. We are rational creatures, so the scientific view subordinates reason to serve science, not the other way around. We must go beyond the merely material to examine how the gift of our intellect provides insight into the human condition not afforded by the material sciences. Next is the philosophical view of man. The philosophical view of man implies that we are moral as well as intellectual beings. It provides the framework to discover the nature of human. Excellence embodied by the perennial virtues towards which all men of good will tend. The philosophical view of man ought to subsume and guide the scientific view of man, for it can anchor the material notions of man in the universal truths about the nature of being. The philosophical view of man speaks to man's rational nature as a composite of both body and soul. It is by the right use of reason that man discovers reality, and by a proper view of philosophical man. One can learn much about the common nature that applies to all humans. The third view is the theological view of man. The fullest and most comprehensive view of man is theological view. The theological view considers the substance, origin, and end of human person. It is revealed truth that man is made in the image and likeness of God, and at the same time of material. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, we learn that the Lord God formed man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. We are made of material but infused with immaterial life and the gifted image of God Himself by way of the intellect and will. The theological view of man explains his origin in a way opposite that of the scientific view of man, which considers that man evolved by accident as a kind of sophisticated ape. The theological view asserts that God created man on purpose with divine intentionality as an overwhelming act of love. Man is a creature created by God in His created universe. So, when these three views combined, it is important not to choose only one of the views of man, but to recognize the comprehensiveness of the theological view and valid parts of the other two as they serve to fulfill the theological view. They must all be taken in their proper spheres with the proper weights, range, depths, and limits. These all three views corresponds to varying degrees to some aspect of the realities concerning the existence of man. The rightness or wrongness of the views depends on how we weight each specific view. As John Henry Cardinal Newman would recommend to us, we ought to rebuild the Jewish temple and to plant anew the groves of Academus. This is to say that we ought to see man in his supernatural glory by the fountainhead of theological truth in Jerusalem, and to embrace the heights of natural man emanating from fountainhead of philosophical truth in Athens. Newman goes on to explain that sacred and profane learning are dependent on each other, correlative and mutually complementary, how faith operates by means of reason, and reason is directed and corrected by faith. All this can be confirmed by certain elements of empirical science, but never led by it. If we can get the three views of man in their proper orders and give them their proper weights, we can see that the three views are meant to be complementary and of service to another. We can then return to the endeavor of building up civilization by colonizing heaven as it was always intended. So this would be all. Thank you.